All right, folks, welcome into another brand new edition of the 901 Soccer Podcast here on Bluff City Media. I'm your host, Lawrence Docker. You can find me on Twitter at LDoc93. Find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. Find us on Facebook as well. Just search 901 Soccer. We will pop right up. Find Bluff City Media on Twitter at BluffCity_media. Find them on Facebook as well. Just search Bluff City Media. They'll pop right up. I guarantee it. And of course, on YouTube as well. Go just search Bluff City Media and as all the goofy YouTubers like to say, like, comment, and subscribe. If everybody does it, I don't know how it helps the algorithm, but it certainly couldn't hurt. So definitely go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Not just for 901, not just for the 901 Soccer Podcast, but we've got a lot of other good stuff over there for you on Bluff City Media. Not just on the YouTube channel, but you can go to the Bluff City Media website and become a subscriber and an insider today. You can get into the Discord and you can have direct conversations with everybody that writes there. I'm very active in there, and I've got some hot takes. So if you want to get into arguing with me about my hot takes, I'd be more than happy to have you. And a lot of other good stuff going on. You got Grizzlies, Tigers, football, Tigers, basketball, all the good stuff. But we're here talking 901 FC. 901 FC has a home playoff game for the second straight season. This is their third consecutive appearance in the playoffs. It's a good time to be a soccer fan in Memphis, as not just 901 FC, but the University of Memphis women's team is now the number 3 team in the country. We might touch on that at the end of the show. The men's soccer team over at the U of M has won 3 games in a row. We might touch on them at the end of the show. If you want to read recaps of any of those games that I've covered for the U of M, just go to bluffcitymedia.com and just click the 901 Soccer tab, and I guarantee you will find the stuff there. But the topic of today, 901 FC at home in the playoffs against Louisville City. It's a rivalry game, and I've tried to make this a rivalry. I've gone on the road to Louisville to cover these games, to help build that. Louisville-Memphis has been a rivalry in multiple sports for a very long time, and I'm glad that it's getting there in soccer, not necessarily in the levels of vitriol between the fan bases. Nothing bad has happened to anybody yet, as far as I can tell, and we certainly hope that nothing bad ever happens to anybody as a result of a soccer game. But inflict bad history upon Louisville City, and I will touch on that for you at the end of the show, or later in the show, I should say. Let me go ahead and write that down so I don't forget. Bad history. Okay, so let's talk about the regular season finale. The scenarios going into the last day of the regular season for 901 FC. You're, I believe, 2 points ahead of Louisville. You also own the head-to-head tiebreaker. You beat them in their house and got a draw with them here. And you had the goal difference by wide margin. So going into the last day, you either needed... Well, it was kind of weird because 901 FC played at New Mexico on Friday, which I didn't understand why that game was a Friday game, and then the Louisville game against Tampa was a Saturday, but whatever. So you had the game against New Mexico on Friday, and you knew you were going to get a home run effort from them because they needed a win to get into the playoffs. So you knew you were going to get a home run effort out of New Mexico in front of a very large, raucous crowd because they're one of the best supported teams in the USL. But the scenarios going into the game were all you needed was a point. If you got a win or if you got a draw, you locked up the 4 seed and got a home playoff game. And on Saturday, regardless of what 901 FC did, if Louisville did anything but win, if they lost or they drew, 901 FC locked up the 4th spot in the home playoff game. So basically going into Friday night, all 901 FC has to do is not show their ass and they get a home playoff game. Well, unfortunately, they went out there and showed their ass. Obviously, partly because of the aforementioned home run effort from New Mexico. New Mexico absolutely had to have that game. Well, 901SC did not absolutely have to have that game, and I think it showed. It would have made Saturday a lot easier had 901SC gone out there and taken care of business, but they ended up losing. They went down 2-0 real quick, pulled one back in the second half with Carson Vom Steeg getting the goal, towering header, great goal. And then New Mexico went boom, boom, and it's 4-1, and that was that. So that leaves you scoreboard watching on Saturday, and I'm sitting there thinking, God, you know what this reminds me of? And you can scroll through the 901 Soccer Podcast Twitter feed and see the tweet that I put up. And I said, this reminds me of the U.S. men's national team in 2017 going down to Trinidad and Tobago and only needing a draw to secure a advancement, either a top 3 spot in the Hex or, worst case scenario, the 4th spot that would have been a home-and-home playoff, I think, with Australia. And, there were like 39 different scenarios the way things could have gone that night. There was only one scenario where the U.S. misses the World Cup entirely for sure that day, and that's the one that hit. You fell down 2-0 real quick to Trinidad, and then, Josie Altidore just decided he didn't want to get on side ever. Clint Dempsey, hits the post. A lot of bad stuff happening that night. And then you needed results elsewhere to go your way because you couldn't take care of business against the worst team in the Hex. And all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboards elsewhere and, oh, hell, we're out. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting Friday night. I was like, and we've already locked up a playoff spot, thank goodness. But, you go into a game just needing a draw, and then you lose, and then you need results elsewhere to go your way. Thankfully, Louisville has been playing like absolute ass the last month of the season. I think they've won like twice since August, since the end of August, I should say. They've played 7 or 8 games, and they have not been good. As good as 901SC has played following that game against Tampa, Louisville has helped by playing that bad. Friday night, after you lose 4-1, you got that nervous, is this really how it's going to go? Are we really going to lose 4-1 and then have to deal with Louisville at home? Crowning moment to lose our shot at a home playoff spot. And thankfully they showed Louisville went out there and they showed their ass at home against Tampa because Tampa jumped on them early and they jumped on them often. And Louisville got one back. It was like 3-1 and they got one back in like the 94th minute when it didn't matter. Hooray for garbage time goals. But at the end of the day, 901SC gets the home playoff game, and then you had to wait on Indy 11's game out west to see who that 5th team was going to be, and I don't think Indy won because Louisville was the 5th spot, so you get your home playoff game against Louisville. The whole bracket in the East, you've got Pittsburgh's the 1 seed, Tampa's the 2 seed, the Battery and the Goat Ben Pierman are the 3 seed. We're 4, Louisville's 5, Indy 6, the Legion are 7, and the Scumbags from Detroit are 8. And, I've got a bit to uphold, so here we go. There you go, Detroit. Thanks for tuning in, Scumbags. Hopefully, Pittsburgh takes you guys to the woodshed in the first round. And if they don't, and you somehow win that game, then hopefully you get to come to AutoZone Park, which, as we know, is a house of horrors for you guys. So that is the one thing. So the bracket, I like the way that the bracket looks this year, by the way. Last year's kind of weird with 7 teams from each conference making it instead of 8. I like 1 through 8 in each conference going to the playoffs. That's just my personal thing. I liked it when the NBA did it. I especially liked it when the NHL did it. And then the NHL got stupid and started having, strange numbers of teams in divisions and then having like 3 wild card teams, but it's still 8 teams, but it's very strange to me. And then you've got the NBA doing their dumbass play-in tournament because, the NBA's problem is you've got basketball players making a lot of money, but they don't want to actually play basketball. So the solution is to add more games for some reason. I like this. This is straight 1 through 8, single table in the East, single table in the West. So I guess you could call it dual table. 1 verse 8, 4 verse 5, 3, 6, 2, 7, and so on. And last year, I think I was confused, and I had several people reach out and say, "You're an idiot," in much nicer terms than that, although I'm sure there were plenty of people who reached out and did tell me I was an idiot, and they were probably these people right here. But I lost my train of thought. I hate Detroit so much that I lost my train of thought. Yes, playoffs from last year. So there was confusion. I was like, I thought it was bracket play, and then I had one or two listeners reach out and go, "No, yes, it's bracket play, but there's reseeding as you go. So if you're the 8 seed, you're the 8 seed all the way through. Or last year, the 7 seed. If you're the 7 seed, you're the 7 seed all the way through. No home playoff games for you. This year, I don't think they're reseeding. I think this is just straight bracket play. I can't find anything on the USL website. It doesn't have it's got a picture of the bracket that looks like a bracket, but it doesn't say one way or the other. The Wikipedia page for the USL playoffs, and let's take Wikipedia with a grain of salt, or that's what we were always told in high school, it says it's a single elimination fixed bracket format. All games will be streamed live on ESPN Plus except the final on ESPN2. Okay. So that means that if you're in that 4-5 matchup and you win, you get the winner of the 1-8 matchup. If that's the way that I'm reading it. If it's reseeding again, I swear. From 2015 to 2019, moved into Lim Family Stadium in 2020. I was there. I was there in 2020 when 901FC went on the road. I wasn't there for when the stadium opened. You have an opportunity to essentially humiliate Louisville. And what I mean by that is, since they've been in this league in 2015, so we're talking 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and now 23. So that's 9 seasons. They've made the playoffs every year. That's 8 seasons. They have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals every single year. We have an opportunity to put them in a casket and end that. So let's do it. I am all in on a Memphis-Louisville rivalry game in the playoffs, and I am all in on putting Louisville City in a casket, lowering them into the ground, throwing 8 feet of dirt on them, and ending their playoff dynasty. I am ready for it, and you should be too. Okay? And this is not like the Tampa matchup last year where there was a lot of cause for concern because they had already beaten you that year. You had beaten them at home, and they had beaten you there. Louisville hasn't beaten you this year. As a matter of fact, I don't think Louisville's won any of the last 3 or 4 meetings. You know what? That is something that, as I sit here talking about it, I need to double check. I know Louisville City. 901FC is unbeaten against Louisville in the 2 matches this year. And then last year, let's pull their schedule up. Nope, Memphis. Okay, so the September 23rd game, that's the one that I talked about last year where you had the 3 red cards after the final whistle. Who got sent off? Philip Goodrum, Reese Buckmaster for Memphis, and Tyler Gibson for Louisville got sent off. So let's backtrack to... Okay, so 901FC is unbeaten in 3 straight games against Louisville. The last time Louisville beat 901 FC was on July the 16th of 2022 at AutoZone Park. There were 3 red cards in that game, although 2 of them were for double yellows. Patrick Segrist got a yellow in the 9th minute and the 45th minute and was sent off. And then Amadou Dia of Louisville got a yellow card in the 50th and the 62nd minute and got sent off. And then Trey Muse was sent off and shown a red card in the 93rd minute. And Louisville lost 2-1. Oh man, that was one you were up 1-0 and lost 2-1. I don't remember. Did I miss that game? I've got it saved on a spreadsheet. I had a listener reach out and said, "Stop talking about the spreadsheets and put it on a Google Doc." And he's probably right. But I keep a spreadsheet of all the 901 FC games I've been to at work, just so that I have that to go back and reference. I missed a lot of games last year, and if you want to talk to me off the record about that, I'll explain it all more in depth to you. It's a long story. It's a long series of stories. But you know what? I think I was at that game. That was the game, that Louisville City game. I swear, I don't remember all those red cards. The Louisville City game at AutoZone Park last year was the game where Louisville was taking corner kicks with the ball this far off the line. Which, if any of those had resulted in a goal, that I think probably would have been grounds for a replay. That's a misapplication of the laws on a restart. With it being, anyway, that's neither here nor there. They lost that game, but 901 FC is unbeaten in 3 straight games against Louisville City. Oddly enough, both of those wins in Louisville, and the draw was here this year. But Louisville's form coming into this game is not good. Let's see what they've been up to. So I was exact. I mentioned it earlier, and I'd like to be exact about it. So they are winless in their last 3 and 4 of their last 5. They have won 3 games since the end of August. They beat Colorado Springs, San Diego, and Loudoun. And I don't know if any of those teams did. Colorado Springs. I think the Switchbacks and the Loyal made the playoffs, but Loudoun did not. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, it's the game. I would be remiss if I did not mention this. The game is at 5:30 on Saturday. It's not a 7 o'clock kick. It's at 5:30 on Saturday. And much like last year, both games last year, Memphis had really good crowds. You had 6,000 plus at both the Detroit game and the Tampa game. And 901 FC got really lucky both of those days that there were no other no other games going on in town that day. And you also got lucky that just happened to be the same week that the stadium announcement was made. And I do think that played a big part of it. But we're going to talk more about attendance in a different episode, or I'm going to write an article about it. Again, if you guys have answers or ideas on how to improve 901 FC attendance going forward, please send them my way. They might be dumb, but they're worth exploring. Okay, because let's be real, the attendance has stunk this year and last year, and really 2021 as well. I mean, it's basically stunk since COVID, and we got to figure out a way to fix that. It's the team does not seem willing or able to be the ones to fix it, so it's up to us. Okay, and there's some things that just won't be able to be fixed, and that's okay. We have to do what we can do. When I was refereeing at regionals, one of the things they kept telling us was control the controllables. A lot of fancy buzzy catchphrases thrown around at an event like that. Control the controllables was one of them. So 901 FC fans and Memphians at large, let's control the controllables. Let's get out to the game. Tell your mother, tell your brother, tell your cousin's wife's husband's former roommate, or whatever they said in Spaceballs. And get them down to AutoZone Park at 5:30 on Saturday. There's nothing else going on in town that day. Tiger football on the road at UAB, Battle for the Bones, awesome rivalry trophy, but Brian Silverfield has nuked the program. That's, I believe, an 11 a.m. kick. Then you've got no Tiger basketball, no Grizzly basketball that day. So no Showboats, no Redbirds, no, like 901 FC is the only game in town, guys. No excuse for there not to be 5,000 or 6,000 people at this game. It's a rivalry game against Louisville. Memphis-Louisville is a thing, and not just in the USL Championship. It's a 5:30 kick, so be there. Don't show up at 6:30 expecting a 7 o'clock kick, because it's going to be halftime if you show up at 6:30. So 5:30, be there, be square. And then, you know what? I think that's as good a place to stop as any. I don't really have anything else to add. There hasn't been. We're recording this on Monday night. There hadn't been playoff media availability announced yet, but rest assured, I will be there for that. Hopefully, I'm also going to be at the U.S. men's national team game in Nashville against Ghana on Tuesday. Don't know if this will be up by then or not, but I'll be there, and then I will be out at the Park Avenue campus at Park and Getwell, at the South Campus for the U of M for the women's game against UAB on Thursday. A nice little appetizer for the UAB football game on Saturday. And then, the women's team, they're number 3 as of today. They are the number 3 team in the country. That's awesome. I mean, when was the last time any other team on campus at the U of M was ranked that high? You probably got to go back to, 2008, when Derrick Rose was playing for the Tigers and John Calipari was the coach, for any of the teams at the U of M to have been ranked that highly. So they are worth getting out and going and supporting. The men's program, after, they started out hot, they hit a rough patch, they've won 3 straight. And that includes a top 10 road win over Missouri State. So get out and support both the U of M men's and U of M women's teams. The women's team figures to be one of the best teams in the country, and the men's team is looking to make history. They've never gone to back-to-back NCAA tournaments, and if they keep it rolling, they've got a pretty good shot at going back again. So go out and support the top. If you are a soccer fan in Memphis, or if you're not a soccer fan and you're a U of M grad, go out and support the Tiger soccer team. Whoever you are, go out. And whoever you are, get to AutoZone Park at 5:30 on Saturday. I don't care if you're a soccer fan or not, be there. That is my request and my command for you. Be at AutoZone Park. Saturday at 5:30. Bluff City Bluff City Media on Facebook. Just search Bluff City Media. Subscribe on YouTube. Become an insider and a subscriber on the website. Join the Discord. If anybody out there is interested in having anybody on any of the shows at Bluff City Media sponsor, if you're interested in having Bluff City Media advertise your goods or services, reach out. We'll get something figured out. But talk to you Saturday night after, hopefully, a good night down at AutoZone Park.